listen, in the immortal words of Robert Downey Jr., Black Robert Downey Jr., you're never supposed to go full, Tropic Thunder references, guys, right? You're never supposed to go full, all right? And I'm to be honest, I think the Democrats may actually absolutely be going full on. Okay, that's a problem. Like, how do you think you're going to allow the other people in the country who specifically voted against all of your ideologies and wokeness and all these other emotional things, right? How are you going to convince them to side with you? Because, unfortunately, the United States of America is much larger than your small echo chamber. And I think that's the reality here, guys. And they definitely went full on. Like, they don't even understand all of the social issues that were basically on display pretty loudly, right, during Trump's election, guys. That's the reality. They never knew that. So here we are today. And now we have Bill Maher attempting to warn the Democrats. This looks like game over. Oh, yeah. And then the whole Elon Musk thing. Yeah, bro. Yeah, absolutely. But all right, this is a suggestion via Discord. Let's go ahead and jump into this immediately. See where this takes us, guys.
Calls for the desperate Democratic Party to move even further left, as if that's the answer. Top Democrats tell Axios the party is in its deepest hole in nearly 50 years, and they list out like 12 reasons for that. And they fear it will only get worse as time goes on.
It will.
So who's the new Democratic savior this week? Bring in Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Okay.
She's been increasingly discussed as a leading star of the party, even among centrists, interestingly. And now the New York Times is naming AOC as a potential 2028 presidential contender. Democrats are doubling down on their progressive policies that lost them the White House and Congress. That's the big picture here. And they're looking for a leader to encapsulate that. Quote, though there is little disagreement about who will emerge to guide progressives into a post-Sanders era, virtually everyone interviewed said there was one clear leader for the job, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York.
Okay, guys, yeah. See, so the Democrat Party definitely has a gigantic man problem. And even though they attempt to act as if they just do not legitimately, strongly detest masculinity and basically men, they keep kind of doing the opposite here. And what I mean by that is just kind of throwing it in your face that they seriously are in fact the party of women. No complaints here, right? But don't act like it's not exactly what it looks like, if that makes any sense here. But either way,
Sandra, I want to bring up this picture, and it is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez kind of languishing away at the border. This was during Trump era 1.0. And she's in this beautiful white outfit, and she's protesting, and it was very dramatic. And the country is just a long way from that image and that moment, encapsulated by this Washington Post headline. I mean, this is WAPO. I never thought I'd see a headline like this. Trump's migrant roundups have a crucial ally, public opinion. And they note there that 89% support deporting criminals, 62% support deporting non-violent criminals. Right. We're a long way from that kind of progressivism.
Absolutely.
A lot that Mark Penn said the other day stuck out to me about looking at the Democratic Party and making the same mistakes that they did of yesteryear, and it's not standing for something. In fact, I thought his advice to his party was really instructive. He said, make up a list of things you really want, and a list of things that you're willing to cooperate with. Are you willing to cooperate with closing the border? Bringing up that picture made me think of that. Or was it all a ruse and you're really for an open border? Are you willing to cooperate with reducing the size of government and the deficit? Forces them into the Doge situation. Are you for it or are you against it? Do you have things that you want, like climate change, inflation, helping working people, that you can put forth to do a compromise? And I think Democrats would behoove themselves if they took a good hard look and asked themselves that question. But he was very firm in his warning to his party. If AOC were to come in with a challenge here, he said every moderate that is left, any moderate, I should say, that is left in that party is going to flee.
Right.
And this is going to be a party no more, because they just can't keep moving further to the left based on what we have seen with recent elections.
Yeah. And guys, you can definitely tell that the American population is basically moving on from a good amount of this because, again, guys, there's only so much that we can act like we're number one in the world, guys. There's only so much. And the unfortunate part of this aspect here is, guys, we do need to start focusing on the things that are actually going to benefit our country because we are failing. All right. And I think Trump has definitely helped kind of point that out to the world. And all they generally have to speak about are things that have nothing to do with all Americans, just specifically, small subgroups of Americans. That's not really how you win. I understand that they have a losing ideology. I mean, listen, their polling numbers are sitting at 29%. That's absolutely abysmal. The population is basically speaking on a consistent manner and basis that they have no interest in any of the things that they're basically promoting. But they're still talking. Right? You have to learn from the mistakes here. Example, I start a business today and I exclusively focus on the smallest subgroup in the United States of America, bro. I mean, yeah, you can get super rich focusing on small groups, right? But you need to focus on the overwhelming majority of Americans, and the overwhelming majority of Americans have no real interest at all in anything that they're saying, okay? At all. But all right.
Paul, here's the quagmire. The Democratic base is spoiling for a fight, and we have an NBC poll that reflects that. 65% say they would rather not see the party get things done and stick to their guns, even if it means just gridlock in Washington.
Right.
And that's versus 32%. That's Democrats. But when you broaden it out, 50%, majority of the country essentially say congressional Democrats are too critical of Trump. So you have this disconnect. You've got to please the 34,000 people showing up to a Sanders AOC rally, but you don't want to lose the middle.
Yeah, I think, they're misreading the room here, and they're misreading where the fault line is on the left. Right now, the schism is between the hyper-progressives and this more traditional moderates. So sure, you can get 30,000 people on the mall in Washington, D.C., because that's blue Washington, right? That's progressive Washington. That was a swamp class picture is what that was, okay? But okay, sure, you can get it there. But are there no lessons to be learned from the recent election where all the traditional Democratic voting blocs moved to the right? And what Donald Trump really did is he managed to capture a lot of the traditional Democratic blue-collar workers. The reason why he did so well in Michigan, the tariffs are going to help that, because this is one of the things that the Democrats have been asking for a long time, which we need to bring back manufacturing. Now, reasonable minds can disagree on tariffs, but the bottom line is he wants to bring the manufacturing here. And just coming up with bumper sticker campaigns like fight the oligarchy. If you went into that crowd and said specifically, what is the oligarchy? What are you fighting? Who's the oligarchy that you're really concerned? How does it affect your life? You're going to get blank stares. It doesn't compel. And last thing real quick.
They're all generally like emotional voters. So nothing really to do with policy. They say, oh, this here is going to make me feel better. So I'm going to go ahead and specifically vote for things that have nothing to do with my family. And I've generally kind of been one of these consistent people here within my life. I am not going to loan my vote out for a cause that has nothing to do with anyone in my household. That's just not, it just cannot happen. I will not vote against my interest, guys.
We know AOC in
That's
this
the opposite
city here
of most of these
this
voters.
This is the person who killed the Amazon jobs who were coming in here. She was part of that cadre that killed thousands of good jobs. Number two, she was the Duchess of Defund. Okay. So these are all things that have gone way down the tank here that nobody wants, and those are her legacy. Who they should be listening to is Fetterman. That's a different story.
Yeah, guys, I definitely would not say nobody, because, again, Trump did not get 100% of the vote. So there's still a gigantic amount of people within the United States of America that believe, truthfully and deeply, that the left has something, meaningful for them. Keep that in mind here. This is not specifically one singular unit, guys. Our country is, in fact, massively fractured, guys.
100% agree with that. Marie, and people like Alyssa Slotkin. So your party puts up, as the State of the Union response, Alyssa Slotkin, who outperformed Kamala in a ton of places. But then when you look at the map, you've got a tough 2026 Senate map. You have only 2 Republicans in districts that Kamala won versus 23 last time around in Trump administration and Hillary districts. So what do you do? How do you thread the needle? Your party wants someone like Alyssa Slotkin, but the only person getting double digits as party leader is AOC.
I think the party actually understands there's a place for both. The Alyssa Slotkins, Josh Shapiro's, Wes Moores of the world, they are winning in states that matter, right? They are putting forward a moderate view of how to grow the middle class. By the way, it's not tariffs. As tariffs start to really impact the middle class, voters in states like Michigan that are incredibly impacted by trade with Canada are going to be really mad at Donald Trump. But AOC is getting tens of thousands of people at these rallies. And there are some
Upstate New York, along with Vermont, along with Maine, are definitely going to be affected. I would also suspect here, Middle America is also going to be affected pretty drastically with a good amount of this trade tariff issue here, guys.
early signs that Republicans are in a little bit of trouble. First, we've seen all of these Republican town halls.
The Democrat town halls are crazy.
Let me finish. And then, for example, in a seat like Mike Waltz's seat, his open seat in Florida, the Democrat has raised $9 million and the Republican has raised under $1 million. Republicans in Congress now that I'm talking to are worried that they are going to either lose that seat or it's going to be very close. So there's a lot of discontent right now in the country in general. But what I am hearing is that average voters whose prices haven't gone down, who are worried about tariffs, whose friends are losing their job, look at the richest man in the world, look at this billionaire cabinet, and they think, Donald Trump said he was going to make my life better. It's not. It's worse. And AOC and other Democrats are actually putting forward an economic vision for the middle class. And we can talk about everything from middle class tax cuts, not tax cuts for the wealthy. I mean, look at Kamala Harris's platform, quite frankly. Housing.
Which didn't work. How did that work out? 80 million votes for Trump, nearly.
But this is the thing. When voters in the middle class see that Trump's policies are not working for them, and they are not, and Democrats can, the midterm, Republicans, downplay this opposition at their own peril. I lived through the Obamacare town halls. When you start counting town halls,
but the talking point about town halls, I'm sorry, is nullified.
It's
Glenn
not.
Ivey had a town
Just
hall.
wait
I don't know
until next November.
I'll send you the footage. We played it on this show last week. Glenn Ivey's in a deep blue district. He held a town hall. He was shouted down
because they want him to be more progressive and more anti-Trump.
And he was saying Chuck Schumer should step down, but that wasn't progressive
for
enough.
a different reason than Republicans are being
It's interestingly,
shouted down.
and we're gathering the footage actually for this show of all the town halls. It's not just deep blue Virginia. It's elsewhere in the country as well. Kaylee McGee-White, someone who disagrees with Marie Harf, is Bill Maher. He thinks Democrats have not hit the bottom yet. Watch this.
Just saw this is really bad news for Democrats. 2030 reapportionment, there's a group called the American Redistricting Project, and in 5 years we will be redistricting. California is projected to lose 3 seats, New York 2, also going to lose a seat.
Losing seats because people are leaving, guys.
California is projected to lose 3 seats, New York 2, also going to lose a seat, Minnesota, Oregon, Rhode Island, Illinois, all blue states. Who's getting these? Texas, Florida, Idaho, and Utah.
Right.
I mean, this looks like game over.
Game over, Kaylee.
I can see that definitely happening, guys. I mean, so listen, so as the taxes are basically rising, estate taxes and all types of just unnecessary things that are being piled on Americans consistently by their, blue state mayor or governor or whatever is going on there, guys, right? They are definitely being... How about this? They're having conversations at home and they're saying, you know what, listen, everything is entirely too expensive here. We're paying taxes into programs, into things that are not really benefiting. They're not really benefiting our family. They're not beneficial to us at all. So let's go ahead and move to a place where at least things align better with how we run our family. And I think that's pretty much what a lot of current Democrats are going to be going through within the next couple of years, at least. Specifically, if the left continues to continue pushing people out.
And this is the political reality that Democrats don't want to face. And look, we can talk about how there's a lot of anger among the Democratic base in particular, but the fact is that rage and resentment is not a winning agenda. And when you look at Trump, he was not selling rage and resentment. He was selling an agenda that works for the working class and actually betters the lives of all Americans.
You're actually both correct. But he was definitely kind of selling rage at the same time. But let's continue.
Rage and resentment. He was selling an agenda that works for the working class and actually betters the lives of all Americans, which, by the way, his economic agenda did a great job during his first term. I don't hear any Democrats raising that point. And I'll just say, Democrats think that they can change the perception of their party without changing the actual policies that led to the negative perception in the first place. You cannot run someone like AOC or Bernie Sanders on a national scale. And I say this as someone who is from one of those critical swing states.
Yeah, no, you can definitely run Bernie Sanders on a national scale. And I think that's just a reality of the situation. When it comes to like a populist, I do think the Democrats definitely do need a populist. And I do think that Bernie Sanders would have a very good run, if that makes any sense. But not AOC so much. Definitely Bernie, though. And I think that's someone who the right should definitely be moderate moderately disturbed by, specifically if you want to run against him. But I do think that the last times that Bernie's ran, the people that supported him for the most part did not come out in the way that they said they were. But that's expectable when most of the people that are basically obsessing over you, let's say, are young teens, college students, and things like that, guys, right? But either way, I do think that Bernie Sanders would probably do very well on a Democratic ticket.
Back in my home state of Michigan, if you think Kamala Harris did poorly, just wait until you run AOC, who is very comfortable in her D plus 28 advantage New York district in the swing state of Michigan. It will never work. The party has to go back to the center, and you deny that at your own peril.
Can I just finish one this talking point about prices coming down in 2 months?
That was 2 months.
From the record highs that were set under the previous
day one.
I think it's only pushing the fact that prices were run up so much under a Democratic administration, and oil and gas prices and energy prices and electricity prices have come down. So I think you have to let these policies have a chance, because once you have lower energy prices work through a system, that can eventually lead to lower prices. But 2 months that's pretty quick.
2 months.
But it's slower than what he had originally stated, though, guys. But I think, and that was to the other woman's point here. All right, here, guys. I don't see how the Democrats are going to, make any strong return, because again, they still don't really understand. They don't understand at all. Exactly why people turned on them, and a good amount of men just completely left. It's not the party of straight men anymore. I'll tell you this right now. I wouldn't say that. Specifically ones who, adhere to, how they were born, let's say. What I mean by that is just innate masculinity, right? I definitely would not say that that's a place for masculinity. It's not the home of you're a guy. That's good. That's not that place. I think that's what it looks like on the outside here, guys. All right. And speaking to a good amount of people that are in my life on a regular basis, that seems to be the overall consensus here. It is not a party for straight men, and I'm basically just regurgitating, from the conversations that I have with people that are literally in my life on a regular basis that have no idea about what goes on the news, because they don't pay attention to it or like that. But all they can see, let's say, is this is not a party for, straight men. And this is a lot of Black American men who are just sick of it. They're just sick of I'm a man, but how do I fit in a place where nothing's to do with me, basically. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go over here. And that is what is going on here. But either way, run AOC if you want. But all right, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And if you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. We are super close to 1 million subscribers, guys. If you guys could hit that subscribe button, that'll be amazing. All right. But in the meantime, I'll catch you guys later.